Don't be a lemon. Be a rosebud.
Behold the power of magnetism. What would your finishing maneuver be called?
The circumcision.
Follow the process.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. The wrestling podcast will review every segment of Raw and give you guys the wrestling news of the week. My name, if you're asking, is Turbo Tony. I am your host and we are here this week with the devil's favourite demon, the big red machine, Matt Canesander.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, you like it? Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. Not nearly as scary because you keep putting your mask on and off again. That's the only problem.
That's it, and like donning the suit and tie.
That's it. How are you doing this week, Matt?
Stressed.
Stress. And for people that don't know, this is like the last literally mere hours, you could probably say, before Matt jet sets away on his holiday. So, you won't be around next week.
Sure, no, it's all down to you next week.
No, exactly. But you've pulled like the full duty. It doesn't matter how close your holiday is and how late of a night this is. You're doing it anyway.
That's it. What, getting up again in 6 hours? I still have podcast time.
Yeah, exactly. Because you know why? Because we love our almost 100 subscribers. There we go. That's the reason why we love you guys. You've been supporting the show like mad. Myself and Matt are super happy, super crazy. Wrestling pun, of course. Super crazy about the support of the show. Like I said, we're almost going to hit 100 subscribers. That's awesome, and it's all thanks to your support. So we really appreciate that. Before we go forward, and I always forget to plug the damn thing until the very end of the show, but this week I'm going to do it at the start. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do at TalkWrestlePod, and you can bother Matt while he's on holiday. That's pretty much the best way.
Nice try.
We will not. We'll not waste any more of your guys' time. You want to know about our thoughts about this week's Raw, which we'll get into. We've got Fail of the Week, and we've got plenty of wrestling news to get through for you as well. Plus the mini announcement, kind of on the how we're going to feature TNA going forward. It's not a good announcement, but a lot of you have seen it coming. But we'll go into that in a second. So, the news, which starts off with a rather interesting piece of news. Now, me and Matt, when it comes to the CM Punk situation, which, if you've been living under a rock, we're going to explain it. It's CM Punk left the company while he was still in contract, and myself and Matt, as myself, former a manager of, of where I used to work, and Matt is a manager of where he works, deals with this sort of thing on a much lower scale, of course. We were much on the other side of what a majority of wrestling fans were. We were like, okay, CM Punk's actually in the wrong here of leaving. Yeah. So this
that's where we stood.
Yeah, that's where we stood, and yeah, we could see it from other people's point of view, but from ours, we can only go from our opinion. We respect everyone's opinion, but that's just ours. That we thought he was in the wrong when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So CM Punk has filed. Not specifically a lawsuit as of yet. A lot of people have broken this, that he's filed a lawsuit, that he hasn't done that. Not yet. He's basically done what the precursor is to a lawsuit, where he sent a dossier to WWE, basically demanding answers on why they believe they can still use his likeness, which is mostly referring to the video game that's going to be released.
Yeah.
Personally, now, obviously, we don't know all the details, of course. There's no way that me and Matt can magically know exactly the contract that he had between Punk or the loopholes or anything like this. But generally, I don't know what Punk is thinking, because he's got no foot to stand on. That's what I would say.
It's kind of going to be that really awkward one. It's like, you're using my likeness. You walked out under contract.
Yeah, that puts him in a very, very bad position in terms of trying to. I think me and Matt said earlier on, we were shocked that WWE didn't sue him. If this was the Attitude Era, he would have been sued.
Yeah.
Because obviously, WWE needed the money a lot more then than they do now, even though they still need the money now, but still. Yeah, it's just a little bit of a shock. Maybe Punk is just prodding the bear, seeing what he can get away with. To be honest, he's got away with a lot with WWE. So he's trying to see what he can get away with. Maybe just get a cheap check on the side, so WWE don't have to deal with it. But yeah, I mean, if you've walked out of your contract, which is a legally binding contract, that doesn't leave you with much of a case, in my opinion. And obviously a lot of this stuff with the video game, it was developed and during his time with the company.
That's it.
He's only been out of the company now for a couple of months legally, and when a couple of months I mean 1 or 2 months. That's most that he's been out of the company. I think his contract ran out in June, July. I think roughly about then.
Around that mark, yeah.
So yeah, I'd be shocked if WWE don't take this as a massive insult and they countersue him. So you could see this could get pretty ugly pretty quick. And out of all the people to start legal proceedings, I didn't think CM Punk would be the guy to start it. Personally,
it definitely sort of goes against sort of the belief of Punk. So we're just like, oh, really?
Well, it's not even so much that. I mean, CM Punk believes in getting what he believes he's due, and that's the reason why he's done this. But I just don't understand why he would think he's got a leg to stand on when he's, in terms of legally binding, doesn't matter how you feel about the guy, legally binding, he is in the wrong. He walked out on his contract. He refused to wrestle when his contract stated he must do so, and he was collecting checks from WWE while he was out of work. So there we are. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes forward. Don't believe the majority of other people. A lot of, like I said, a lot of these news sites, they shoot the gun. They say CM Punk is suing WWE. It is not there yet. He could even
CM Punk is suing WWE. Come look at our website.
Yeah, like WWE could say no to CM Punk, and CM Punk still might not take him to court. That it could end up being that way. You know what I mean? But it could go that way. It's just not there yet, as far as we've heard anyway this week. So interesting, and it doesn't seem there's any love lost between CM Punk and WWE now. If there was any chance of getting any sort of deal
redemption.
struck between redemption, like any sort of like a way that these two could merge together and actually kind of get them back in working order. It just doesn't seem to be. It seems to be miles away from that, and it's getting further away. So, unfortunately, CM Punk fans, I don't think you're going to be seeing him wrestle at all for a while. That's my personal opinion, but there we are.
Oh,
I know I'm a Punk fan too. I just disagreed with the way he dealt with that. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There was a guy at Raw. This was a bit of an interesting news. And you may wonder why this isn't in our Raw breakdown. It's just because I didn't want to add it in roughly. But a little bit of news here. This is one of the reasons why someone asked us a while back if we could actually bump up where we do our podcast to an earlier day. And I understand completely where it's coming from, as we do it on a Sunday. It's only one day before Raw. But this is the reason why we do it, okay? Because it gives us the most amount of time to be able to view news stories and give you the right view on it. So, there was a guy at Raw, you may have already seen pictures of him or saw him on Raw, who was holding up a sign saying, "I could be at home watching Nitro."
Yes, him.
He had his signs taken away, and and apparently, according to his initial story, that management basically kicked him out of the building and threatened to arrest him, and then he decided to leave the arena because he didn't want the bother of it, okay? So it seems pretty bad. WWE taking this guy's things, signs down. You hear stories about this all the time, of them taking signs down, but not too many ones about them being kicked out of the arena and stuff like that. This is a bit extreme, even for WWE, to be doing this sort of thing. So I was a little bit, I'm not too sure about this. No, I haven't heard any stories of people being kicked out, unless it's a really, really offensive sign, which this one isn't really. You know what I mean?
Well, I've also heard that apparently the guy was actually quite obnoxious.
Yeah, this is the further reports. This is what I mean. This is the reason why we do the show at the time it's done, because otherwise we could have broken this story and said, "Oh, WWE, oh my god, I can't believe they've done all this stuff." But we wait, we get the full facts, and we give you the story as it is. And as you said there, Matt, further reports came from multiple people now, which I'm inclined to believe. Personally, that apparently he was intoxicated. He was chanting various stuff like Chris Benoit and stuff like that, which is asking to get ejected from the crowd, to be honest.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And no matter what you think about Chris Benoit, it does annoy me that there's people out there think there's some sort of conspiracy. It doesn't matter. People still died. It's still inappropriate to chant his name. Okay, you still need to know that regardless. And apparently he was causing a lot of hassle. He was throwing his weight around, verbally and along these lines.
Apparently he was actually physically throwing items around.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he was throwing signs.
Yeah. So basically being a dick. In all intents and purposes. And there's been multiple eyewitnesses and witnesses that were close to him. In fact, there was one guy that came out afterwards that was like, this guy was completely out of it. He looked like he wanted to get ejected, so he could. And I can get that. Some people do want this, so they think they can go and write to all these news sites and say, oh, WWE mishandled me and I'll never watch again, and that way it kind of gives them, for some reason, some credibility, you know what I mean, that they can get the story.
Some sort of weight to go behind.
Yeah, and then, I'm glad that these eyewitness things came about. So yeah, I lean towards more the story of the majority, which was he was being an ass. I can firmly believe that.
That's it. I mean, if it's actually coming down to the fact that he was actually sort of drunk, verbally abusing, and just being, if he was actually throwing signs around, then that's like a danger.
Yeah,
and that's actually, and then if regardless of WWE, it's the venue's right to eject him as a dangerous custom.
Yeah, of course, without question. I mean, if that was next to you and me, Matt, we would have had an issue with it. And we wouldn't have liked to be next to someone, and we probably would have spoke up about it, to be honest, because you and me don't like that sort of crap. You can chant whatever you like at wrestling shows. In fact, WWE have let fans do it. We all remember the Sheamus Randy Orton match where they chanted whatever the hell they liked and stuff like that. Yeah. But when you chant stuff that's inappropriate, like, and I hate to break it to people, Chris Benoit is an inappropriate chant considering the tragedy of what happened, regardless of what you think of it. And I do think it's a bit silly if people think it was a conspiracy, but we won't get into that.
Yeah.
It's still inappropriate. Okay? People wouldn't, even though it's a tragedy on a much higher scale, you wouldn't get people getting away with chanting 9/11. Out in the thing.
Yeah,
you can't.
That's it.
Yeah, you have the right freedom of speech, but if you're being a cock about it, then you're going to get ejected. You know what I mean? You can say whatever you want outside the building. You know what I mean? That's the way it goes, and I fully agree with them.
Yeah, definitely.
Vince Russo.
Oh yeah.
Vince Russo. He's back. Well, not really, but he's back on our show, unfortunately. He wrote an open letter to the McMahons, and this is following this week's bad Raw, which it was bad, bit of a spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And last week's bad Raw as well. Penning an open letter basically stating about how they can do better. That they can make the show for the wrestling fans again, and, that maybe they're burnt out. I didn't read the entire letter because I don't want to waste my time on this guy.
I haven't read it at all.
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment. We're getting bad Raws. It's mid-monthers, and these are really bad mid-monthers that we've been getting, and obviously we're going to go into that more with our breakdown of Raw, where we review every segment of Raw. But
that we do.
I can't trust anything to do with Vince Russo anymore. And this has gone over a long period of time. I still don't know if he's working for TNA or not, and I don't take his word for that. Why would I?
That's it.
So, of all the advice that WWE should listen to, and they should listen to some advice at the very least, Russo's advice isn't a part of that. It's not. No. Like the guy, for anyone that doesn't know, the reason why me and Matt dislike Russo is not so much for his horrendous booking, because we find it more funny. If anything.
Yeah, definitely.
And he did come up with some good stuff in WWE. We're never going to disregard that. But it's the guy lies to himself, and he lies to everyone around him. That's the people we despise. And we know there's a lot of that in wrestling, but I mean, Russo is pretty much the poster boy for all of that. So that's the reason why we.
It's just you look up like bullshit booking, and then there's just Vince Russo, just like thumbs up, just like hey.
Yeah, and he's got so many moments in his booking career, like David Arquette being the champion, and himself becoming the champion. Him wanting Miss Elizabeth to strip down to her bra and panties on WCW shows. And it goes on and on and on and on.
The list will continue.
So, yeah, that's the main reason why me and Matt dislike the guy. And if you've watched our previous episodes, you would know that by now. And he's not exactly most well-liked around the wrestling community, regardless. General fan or not. So there we go. That's the way to go around it. So that's our news for the week. It's a bit of a slow week, but some interesting stories there. In fact, I think that CM Punk story is going to blow up eventually.
We'll see more from that.
It will be interesting to see how it goes on. Awkward timing as well, I think, for him, considering his wife is still with the company. It just...
Yeah.
It's got to be all.
Well, that's one thing though. That's one thing about like the whole situation that's just really doing my head in is the fact that because AJ's still at the company, I'm just getting so sick of the Punk chants.
Yeah, man. I mean, they must like it. Fair enough. I don't see AJ getting visibly, annoyed by the chants. He must obviously like it that a man's getting chanted. But we've always said on this podcast, and I think most people can agree, if you really like and want to support CM Punk and AJ, then chant for AJ when she's in the ring, not CM Punk.
That's it.
I just don't understand personally. If you really want to support them and you like CM Punk, then why don't you do him a solid and chant his wife's name while she's wrestling in the ring? That's what I'd say. But anyway, moving on. Yeah. And you know what? For the whole AJ thing, it must be really awkward for her with knowing all this stuff is going on, but she still has to go to work every day. I don't envy her position, shall we say? Regardless. Little bit of a TNA announcement. I've just realised it hit me today. Hit me hard. As I haven't watched TNA again this week, that from this way going forward, there is going to be no, we're not going to say each week that we're going to do a TNA review. It's not going to be like a part of the show that we do each week. We might bust it out every now and then, but I think that I'm burnt out of the show, and there's only so much of TNA I can take. I think that's probably the best way to do it. I'll try and catch it here and there as I can go along, but I tell you what, and I hate to keep going back to it, those 4 weeks of TNA still dug into my head. Those horrendous. Still there.
There's no escape for it.
There's no escape, and the damage done. I will try and catch TNA as much as I can, but when you look at our schedule that we have to watch, 3 hours of Raw, which is just damn too much. On a pay-per-view, that's another 3 hours. That's 6 hours. Plus, writing up stuff for the show. Which we normally...
Hey, I'll still try and get some NXT in.
Yeah, I'm trying to... NXT and stuff like this. It's too much. It's just way too much. And unfortunately for TNA, they are the second show, and I've always been a WWE fan, but I haven't always been, a watcher of TNA. So TNA is the one that gets the backseat treatment. So I apologise to people here that may be wanting to watch TNA stuff. You may still get it. I'm just not going to guarantee it each week. I don't want to keep saying each week I haven't caught TNA. If it comes up, it'll come up and we'll review it then. So Matt reviewed TNA last week, and I just haven't got around to. Every single time I turn it on, it's just I can't deal with it.
Just bitter.
Yeah, and to be honest, the way WWE's going, man, if WWE get as bad as that, then we're not going to end up having much of a show to talk about in the end, are we?
That's it. It's like, let's talk about something other than...
Yeah. So we move on to our fail of the week. You guys love our fail of the week, and why not? Because it's brilliant to look back at some hilarious fuck-ups. And this is one that me and Matt have always wanted to talk about. Since we started the podcast, since we started this damn podcast, we've always wanted to talk about this particular fail, because it's recent, and it's WWE. And it's definitely not PG. I think that's probably the best way to state it, and it led to a person being fired. We are, of course, talking about AW, who was the manager of the Primetime Players. You may not even remember him. He
was very short-lived.
Yeah, he wasn't even on TV that much, to be honest. I think that the whole storyline was that he was trying to represent like Primo and Epico, or maybe it was the Usos or something. And then he switched and he went heel, and he aligned himself with Titus O'Neil and Darren Young, the Primetime Players, with their millions of dollars. And you come out with his headset, with his little, I can't even remember what to call it. It's like just the mouthpiece, isn't it? That's it.
Yeah. It was almost like we don't need the commentary team. He's like he was the Primetime Players play-by-play guy.
Yeah, like every single thing that they did in the ring, he would be like, "Oh, Titus O'Neil is kicking this guy's ass," and obviously he wouldn't say it like that, but well, still, he had a nature of trying to push things a little bit too far, and then one time he didn't just tiptoe over the line, he fucking threw himself over that.
To be perfectly honest, I think it would have been better if he did turn around and say Titus O'Neil is kicking this guy's ass.
Yes, I think, to be honest, if he said that instead of what he did say,
he might have a job.
Yeah, he still might be, maybe alongside Titus O'Neil or Slater Gators, I don't know, some BS like that. But before the incident, me and Matt, we liked AW. It was like our cheap excitement, like our dirty little enjoyment of the show, shall we say? That we just, for some reason, we liked AW, even though he was annoying some weeks, more often than not. But still, one week Titus O'Neil is having a singles match, and he's dominating the match. He's in full control. AEW's spouting out his usual stuff until he decides to drop a particular line that throws back to a sexual assault charge by Kobe Bryant in 2003. The words were, Titus O'Neil is like Kobe Bryant in a hotel room in Colorado. He's unstoppable.
Yeah, and that was it. And suddenly everyone was just like, what? there was no cheer. Like, the crowd were literally just like, oh?
What? Yeah, I mean, to people like me and Matt, by the way, because, I'm only recently, I'm really huge into basketball at the moment, but I haven't been, it's a lot harder to actually catch those games and stuff. I didn't even know Kobe Bryant had a sexual assault charge. Yeah, so
no.
I had to look this up. I was like, well, okay, well, that was a bit random, was it? And then I realised what happened, and I was like, okay, now we just wait for this guy to get fired.
That's it, and just waiting for the time.
Yeah, exactly. And as anyone that knows, as soon as those words left his mouth, and the fact is that Michael Cole on commentary had to apologise for said words after the match was finished, you knew his time was done. He wasn't getting
it's like, that's it, fired.
Yeah. He wasn't getting the Daniel Bryan treatment. There was no grey area here. It wasn't as if they told him to go out and say a sexual assault joke and he chose the wrong one. He decided to really. Maybe that's part of the reason why they don't let people go off of script nowadays, because stuff like this happens.
That's it. Everything has to be double checked.
Yeah. So you could say this slip up may have cost him millions of dollars.
No.
No.
I don't think even if he managed, it wouldn't be $1 million.
No. I was trying to do a pun there, but
I know.
It didn't really work.
No.
Sometimes they're just too cheap, and we can't get away with them. I think that was one of them. Oh well. But AEW, he was short-lived, but he wasn't boring.
Definitely.
Let's just say that he was unique right up until the very end. And apparently, according to him, he said he went a rant against the company on his WWE Twitter account before he was shut down, and apparently he was saying along the lines that he wasn't fired because of that. He was fired because he made references towards Linda McMahon's politics charge to get into Senate. And
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's what he says. I disagree. I think once you make a reference towards a rape charge on a PG television show, I think you signed your own.
That's it. It's like, is this where I signed to get fired? Okay, cool.
Yeah, he may as well just stepped right into the unemployment line as soon as those words left his mouth. But it is unfortunate. I think he had a little bit of potential personally as a manager. So there we are. So we move into our Raw recap, where we break down every segment of Raw and we review it all, which is unfortunate because this Raw was not very good. I'm just going to say it out there.
Yeah, we've got to relive it.
Now, me and Matt said last week that we were hoping for a better Raw. We did not get one. And I'm hoping you guys are probably hoping for a better Raw as well. And, it's not exactly the way it goes. Me and Matt coined the phrase mid-monthers. This is the Raws in between the pay-per-view that's not directly next to a pay-per-view. So not straight after a pay-per-view, not the go-home show. These Raws tend to suck. These ones are more than we were used to.
These Raws tend to suck. Did you not see what's lined up for next week?
Yes. Which Matt is missing. So there we are.
I miss SummerSlam Part 2.
Yes, exactly. So, WWE here are from Des Moines, I think is the way you say it.
Des Moines, Iowa. Yeah.
Des Moines, I got it right. I've been freaking out about that. I was like, is it Des Moines? Or no, it's Des Moines.
Des Moines.
Des Moines. No, Des Moines. Apologies to anyone that lives there. Just I like to, for instance, when any Americans say Leicester, and they say it Leicestershire. Or Leicester, they say it is, or Leicestershire. They just can't say it. It's Leicester. It's very well. It's not easy because I can understand why they get it wrong, but you can. It's the same thing. So that's the way it goes. So as I say, it's another mid-monther. It's another bad show. So we're going to go into the reasons why it was not a good show. Raw opened with a highlight reel from Chris Jericho, which was advertised last week. His guest was supposed to be Randy Orton. Before Orton can even get into the ring, JBL is already starting with his usual annoying crap on commentary. He's
JBL was unbearable this week.
Yeah, again. And he was stating stuff like right off the bat. He did a thing that Cole did during the very early NXT days, where he was stating stuff like, "This is boring" and stuff like that. If you're not into the show and you're stating that, why the fuck do your regular fans want to get into the show when you don't want to watch it?
Why should they care?
Yeah. I just don't understand why they make it that way. Maybe he didn't make any references like that for the rest of the segment, so maybe he got a little bit of an earful from McMahon backstage, and I wouldn't be shocked about it. But one thing doing that on NXT, which I still disagreed with, but come on, 3 minutes or less than a minute into your show, your flagship show, and you're saying this is boring.
It didn't bode well for the rest of the show.
No, it didn't. So Orton does come down, except he's now flanked with the entire authority. They smelled a Raw opening and they had to intervene.
That's it.
That's all they do is open Raws, and that's the way it has to be. The back and forth here between Triple H and Jericho actually reminds me of some of the more comical back and forths that they have had before, and it was genuinely entertaining.
I did enjoy it, and it made me chuckle. Yeah.
It was
the one thing I just enjoyed. It's just like Jericho sort of back on form of wit.
Yes, and even just sure, his jokes are immature, but it's a PG show. You know what I mean? And most wrestling fans embrace the immaturity at times, and when it comes to Jericho, he can do it well. So now, when I say that, I don't mean embrace the immaturity and have a lot of their really bad comedy. Okay, I need to coin that. Okay. Before WWE start thinking,
before we start getting fart jokes.
Yeah. This and Natalia farting gimmick. We don't want to go back to those dark days.
God, no.
Okay. So Triple H says that it may not be best for business for Lesnar to face Cena, and there may have to be a new number one contender. Orton shows balls that I didn't think his character has, saying that he's the man to face Lesnar. Yeah. Kane says that he's the guy to face Lesnar, which absolutely... yeah, exactly, the laughs get bigger. Rollins says that he's the future, that he actually gets a chant. He was well over with the crowd this week, his hometown crowd. So
I was going to say, he was well over, because everyone was a friend of his.
Yeah. Now, out of all the guys in that ring, no offense to Jericho, Rollins would be the one that I would want to face Lesnar. So... yeah. There we are. But
unfortunately, I'd like to see Rollins face Lesnar, but I don't see it ending well for Rollins.
No, I want to see the match, and it won't happen. But can you imagine Rollins bumping around for Lesnar and having a late charge and possibly winning the match? It writes itself. Not hard to
That
do.
definitely would be good.
Yeah.
But he'd definitely be punching quite a few in his bump card in that match.
Man, that guy's punched his bump card twice over by now, so he's this brings
he
out
punched it in that TLC match.
Jesus.
It's like, you're done now. You don't have to bump for the rest of your life.
His first night, his first match in the main roster was him getting thrown off of a table and damn near killing himself through a bunch of tables. So I think he's in terms of bumps, he's definitely done his bit. So
yeah, punched it in day one.
Yeah, exactly. This brings out Cena anyway. It just seemed like what I think is great about Lesnar as a champion. It just seems like all these guys are setting up like a suicide line. Okay, I want to commit suicide by facing Lesnar.
I want to be killed.
I want to
be killed.
Yeah. I do love the fact that Lesnar feels that way, and he honestly does feel like this guy's going to wreck anyone. Doesn't matter who you are, just destroy you. I love that. It's awesome to feel about a champion that way. Really good.
That's it.
Cena says that he will sue Triple H if he doesn't give him the match, and that he'll become COO and fire Triple H, which I think is quite ironic for a guy that loves the company, but there we are. That he's going to sue WWE, so still.
No, that's it. WWE made him. He's not going to sue him.
Yeah, exactly. I don't buy that as part of his character, but still, they're going along with this thing, and they wanted to get it over. Cena's going to sue if he doesn't get the title shot, and it's like, okay.
Shut up, don't care.
Yeah. He's going to beat Lesnar's ass. And Triple H fires back with that he'll always do what's best for the WWE.
Yeah.
I don't know what the extra W is for. Leave a comment down below.
World Wrestling Website Entertainment?
I don't know, yeah. Or the World Wrestling, because, maybe they give a little bit more wrestling in there, You got
the wrestling world of wrestling entertainment?
Yeah. You guys, let us know what you think the extra W is for. And the funniest one we'll announce it next week. Leave a comment down below. Or tweet Matt while he's on holiday. Yeah, do that. It's always funny.
Just on a beach, chuckling away to myself.
Exactly.
My Twitter feed.
That's it. So Orton interjects. This, by the way, you're probably really thinking right now, this segment's going on a while. You'd be right. It's just going on, and it's not really getting anywhere, unfortunately. In fact, it kind of took a step back from the build-up towards the Cena and Lesnar, match, which is obviously still happening. You don't, unless someone's injured, you don't start promoting and making all these graphics for a match and then not to do the match.
And ditching it in the last minute,
yeah. Jericho reminds him that Orton lost to Reigns, and Orton responds that SummerSlam match just doesn't matter. That's fine. Well, thank you for that. I guess I hope if you had told me before, I would have skipped it and not watched it.
I wouldn't have watched it.
Yeah. So apparently it doesn't matter. Nice to know that some of the marquee matches, on WWE and in their eyes just don't matter. So there we are. Makes that match at SummerSlam a little bit worthless. In that degree, I don't know where to go with that. It's kind of hard to take these matches seriously when some of the talent's like, it doesn't matter anymore. So this brings out Reigns anyway, and it gets longer and longer and longer. This segment doesn't really have an end game, doesn't have any bite. Really,
I mean, you knew Reigns was coming out anyway.
Yeah, it was going to happen.
Because they were going on about the title picture, but then it was also the whole, if Reigns went out here, I'd drop him. It's like, you said his name.
Yeah, you say Reigns' name too much and he'll appear.
That's it.
Say it in the mirror 3 times.
He's the boogeyman. He's the Beetlejuice.
That's it. So Reigns is simply, basically just starts, okay, you want to fight me, do it. And then everyone's like, okay, I want to have the match against Brock Lesnar. And then Triple H ponders himself. He wonders who is up to the challenge to fight Brock Cena. Man, he was a bit sloppy in this, wasn't he? Triple H. The WWE and Brock Cena. Did they have a baby? Have they merged into one? Well, that's knowing. Don't know. He was
never give up, but conquer everything.
Triple H isn't normally this sloppy, but he was in this segment. I just don't know why. It's not. I'm not going to kill people for making too many mistakes. It's just it's out of the norm. Triple H isn't someone that you would reference as someone making lots of mistakes in a promo. So there we are. He sets up a 6-man tag match between them all as the main event, which was the this whole point of them all being in the ring. Rollins tries to attack Reigns with the briefcase, but fails. Reigns then just tosses it back at him.
Just gives him back the briefcase.
Yeah. They even did a slow-mo of it being thrown at him. It didn't really seem to bother Rollins that much. So these segments are the reason why I dislike promo starting shows. Anyone that's watched, listened to the podcast before, I dislike long. I mean, this promo is 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
I would have taken a kick-ass match for 20 minutes over this to get the fans into the show.
Hey, don't you... Okay, it has to be a good promo for you to like it. Just remember...
Yeah.
WrestleMania, Rock, Austin, and Hogan took half an hour.
Yeah, and that, but that was awesome, and it was something we'd never seen before, and it got the crowd up, and they did a lot of teasing to the crowd, getting them lots involved. There was none of that here. The fans didn't have any reason to get really into this. I wouldn't do. I much would have preferred a match to say just bring out Ziggler and Cesaro. I'm not saying that they should wrestle each other now. I'm just saying they're the two really good performers. But stick them out there for 20 minutes, let them have a kick-ass match, get the show off to a really good start. So that I can really get into. Oh, wow, this looks like it's got the makings of a really good Raw. I didn't get that feel here. But
no, not
there
at all.
we are. It was, and the problem is for a 20 minute long segment, it's instantly forgettable, and I think that's inexcusable.
Yeah,
start your show. I think that I think next week I'm probably going to do a I was obviously I'll be doing the podcast on my own as Matt is soaking in the sun, and I'm probably going to do a topic on why various reasons why I think that WWE need to seriously start considering going back to 2 hours, and this is part of the reason for it.
Okay, fair enough.
So first match. In fact, which involves two of the people I just stated that I thought would make a good match: Ziggler and Sheamus against Cesaro and The Miz. Apparently, Damien Mizdow wasn't fired last week because he was directly beside him. So
he was apparently fired. Oh yeah.
Yeah, remember at the end of last week,
Miz said he'd fired him. Yeah,
straight away he was fired, and then he walked out and everything like that. There's a new thing to the gimmick now. Miz is now getting his moneymaker, examined and cared for, and with the makeup, make sure it's applied.
I was trying to figure out. I spent the first start of the match just like, I'm not actually caring about this match. I'm sort of curious who she is.
Yeah, just a random person. It was like what was it, like Gillian in JBL's stable, just like kind of randomly out there for no reason.
Yeah. Why? Because she is.
Yeah. Until she had like a growth on her head or stuff like that.
That's it. And then he got in the chair and it's like, oh, she's a makeup artist.
Yeah, that's it.
Still don't care.
Still don't care. Well, I say that, right? At least they're going full out with his gimmick. You know, at least they're going.
Okay, I will commend that.
Yeah.
I will commend the going full out on the gimmick.
Yeah.
I'm just disliking the fact that it's someone who's so much better than the Miz is loss.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's
like
refreshing to
week after week, funny gimmick, and now 2 rules in a row. Damien Mizdow.
Yeah.
Oh no, they've settled.
If you were to switch, the reason why they put Miz in this role is because I'm under no illusions. He actually thinks he is a star. So why not give him the gimmick of where he believes he's a star, but he's not really, and people hate him for it? It kind of makes sense. But, man, wouldn't Damien Sandow be good in that role also?
Yeah.
Just thinking that would be pretty good. But, so the match itself is okay. It's got some good action in it. When I say it's okay, it's nothing instantly memorable on the show. In fact, it was a theme.
I quite like the finish.
Yeah, I thought the finish was actually pretty good. A lot of people were against it, but I like the idea. Basically, the finish was Damien Mizdow comes in because he's the stunt double, and with the distraction, then Miz actually comes in, does the skull-crushing finale on Ziggler and gets the pin. I actually like the finish.
Yeah.
It makes a difference from the distraction, schoolboy, most devastating move in wrestling history, which was used this week, by the way. But yeah, of course. I
think we're only going about like 6 weeks running.
Yeah, even if it's away, for 1 week, it doesn't matter. It'll always come back. WWE love that. So, and it's devastating, the schoolboy roll-up. What can we say?
That's it.
So yeah, I thought it was okay, and it was a decent enough match to start the show. And considering Cesaro and Sheamus will be having a match, and Miz and Ziggler will be having a match, it just seems like it makes sense. It makes sense to do it. So this begins a long series of mini segments backstage. Oh, you know what's coming. You know it's coming. With Nikki Bella, the Growing Up Bella segments. Basically explaining why Brie is a bitch in her eyes.
Brie stole my boyfriend, but I never told anyone that. Oh, fuck off.
More bad acting here, guys. And I think it's quite funny because a lot of people are praising Nikki for the acting. I think that you're...
there's two. Why praise? Why is there praise? I don't understand this.
I think your expectancy isn't at the right. You've been given shit for a long time, and you're taking it. This isn't good. No way about it.
I tell you, you're getting like, this is shit. This is shit. This is shit. This looks like shit, but it's not. It's slightly better.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. So yeah, the first one, as you said there, Matt, is like, oh, she stole my senior prom date.
And I went away and I cried.
Yeah,
but I never told anyone that.
Yeah. Next, she'll be telling us that she stole her boob job. Yes, very scary. But she never told anyone that. Never.
It's like, that's entirely it. It's like if Brie was to get the boob job, it's like, I was meant to get it, I paid for it, but she was the one that turned up for the appointment. But I never told anyone that.
And now look at her bazongas. Oh dear. No, don't give. That's Russo booking, Matt. Russo booking. No, we can't let him have ideas.
A silicon boob on a pole.
Boob job on a pole match. Oh dear. But Matt, I know your answer. I know you too well. This did not get me more excited for a Bella versus Bella match.
I'm not getting it. I haven't been excited since day one.
Yeah.
Like just the sheer thought of Bella, but like I said last week, like I managed to sort of get it out of my mind, just sort of thinking, oh, they're sisters. Maybe one day they'll feud. This could be cool. But that was like 4 years ago when the Bellas first joined the company, and I'd completely forgot about that possibility.
Yeah. And
now it's come to be reality, and I'm just like,
aren't you glad that we
don't care
that we didn't do podcasting then, so we can't do an elaborate. We were wrong. We were damn wrong, and I just replay that bit. This could be an awesome rivalry, and then suddenly we're just us going, no more. I'm tapping out of this rivalry. I'm not into it. The ship has sailed. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere good, considering Jerry Springer is now involved. If they're parodying
That's
their
another
own
thing I don't have to see. Yeah.
Yay! Anyway, that was the first of 3 little mini segments, and they did have another segment. There was a lot of Nikki Bella on the show, and it was not good. So there we are.
It's never good.
Never good. So this leads into a 6 diva tag match with Summer Rae, Layla, Naomi against Rosa Mendez, Cameron, and Eva Marie. Rosa Mendez is the new Total Diva, so you're going to be seeing a lot of her going forward. Yes. She did have her arse whipped out on main event, which for some of you guys, I guess you might enjoy. Okay.
Arse.
Yeah. So yeah, you take Summer Rae, you take Layla, and you take Naomi out of the match, which unfortunately is all the faces. Man, the heels don't look like a good team, do they? Really?
The heels never look like a good team from the word go.
Yeah.
Like, I messaged you during it, and I was like, I've just come to see this. I'll just give you 6 names and imagine my reaction.
So I'm going to treat this match like it was a throwback to the horrendous 1-minute multi-diva tag matches where they have no tags and no pinfalls.
Yeah.
It ended in DQ after all the divas have a scrap in the ring, and by scrap I mean bump really badly and do really
pull hair.
It was a waste of our time. Like, why would we want to see a less than 1 minute match that doesn't even finish, that leads nowhere? Why would these girls need to show up?
No, I don't know.
Like, I didn't like this match. I would like to know the person that enjoyed this match and send them for psychic evaluation.
Could you call this a match?
It wasn't.
The bell rung, and the bell did ring again.
Well, you had a few bumps and stuff at the beginning of the match. You had Layla doing a few moves, so I guess that maybe you can call it some... Legally, it was a match, but really, was it anything? Like, was it even a 1 out of 10 stars? No.
How generous.
It was there nothing. You know, that's the best way for us to describe it. And unfortunately, with Total Divas starting back up again, you can probably expect a lot more of these matches. There we go. And I'm watching Total Divas for the podcast. The things I do for you guys.
Stop watching it. I watch TNA.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I only watch Total Divas when it's on, when the wife's watching it, because, as again, it gives her a reason to watch her E-shows, which she does enjoy. You know, each to their own, but even so, she's not that impressed by it. It's stupidly fake, you know, the way that they go about it, so, still. Moving forward, Big Show and Mark Henry against the Wyatt family. You may have remembered us talking about this match because it happened 2 weeks ago. So,
in a tag team snore match.
Yes. This is quite funny. So we've already seen this match, obviously, and these two groups are basically going nowhere, except for Mark Henry. Looks like he's going somewhere, at very least. But the Wyatt family have been losing tons and tons of matches. Big Show hasn't been involved in anything of note. JBL then asks us, after they're talking about stuff on the network, who hasn't been watching the WWE Network? I can tell you who. People are all over the UK and Ireland. And also a lot of your majority of your fan base, because if you had all your fan base watching it, you would have 4 million network subscribers, which you don't have. So
yeah,
there's my answer to you, JBL. There is a lot of people not watching the WWE Network, and that's the problem. But still, I get why they have to sell it like it's a massive success on TV. There's no way they're going to actively say, we need more subscribers. Like, I get why they do. $9.99. That's it.
$9.99.
Talking about that today. You can check the LTW. You have to retweet this. I'm going to tweet it up on my account later on, which is I never use. I was at the shop today. Had all this different stuff. Only getting a few little bits and bobs. It came to $9.99. I almost left without buying anything. Just out of precedence. Yeah, it's bad. But yeah, I took a picture.
It's like gone are the days where I used to get excited whenever that's 619, that's 619. I'm like, yes, that's £3.16. Yes, that's £9.99. I don't care.
Yeah, no. I wasn't even happy, with someone like me who loves. He's a bit OCD about numbers and crap like that, which is great for the show, but stuff like that, I was just like, ugh, no, don't even want it. So, yeah. With our JBL saying it like that, obviously later on they did come, oh, don't worry UK, it's coming to you soon, but I know why they have to sell it like it's a massive success on TV, but for people like us that know that the network isn't actually doing all that well, it's just quite funny to see him say stuff like that, but I get why they're saying it, and I don't have any issue with it. Rusev comes out mid-match. The match itself was okay, but it was a carbon copy of what we already had. So,
I didn't enjoy it at all.
It's like watching the same, 10-minute match over again. It's not really that interesting, except for Rusev comes in at the end and basically attacks Henry. So I'm glad that they're continuing with the Henry and Rusev storyline, because we said that it actually makes sense to have Henry against Rusev. He's the right opponent for Rusev, and it seemed like they dropped it last week, but they are going back to it. So thumbs up at least on that. But this match was literally only there to get Rusev and Henry rivaling against each other again. So there we are. But it also does look as well, moving on a little bit later, that Big Show is going to get more involved with stuff that's going on here. I'd much rather it just to get involved with just Rusev and Henry, and that's the way it should be. So there we are. We move forward with another Nikki Bella, Bella's sister secrets, or growing up Bella and all this other stuff. Apparently on their 16th birthday, they both had their driving test. Nikki passed and Bree failed it. Bree stole the car, totaled it, and passed it off as Nikki.
I missed that one.
Twin magic.
I missed that one.
Oh, well,
I'm so glad I missed it.
I was about to say, you're not really missing much.
I thought there was only 2, but okay.
But you missed this one, but you never told anyone before.
Maybe.
Yeah, you never told anyone. That's very important. Yeah.
Anyway.
It's not good, guys. Don't worry. Don't go out looking for these segments. They're garbage. Paul Heyman, someone who isn't associated with garbage, comes out to give us, myself, a slight little bit of audio gold. For some reason, when I was watching it, skipped over half his promo. Just the way it is, isn't it? Oh well. I got some good stuff. He stated that Brock didn't only just conquer John Cena, he emasculated him, he demasculated, he destroyed him, he stripped him of his manhood, of his dignity, and all this stuff. Awesome stuff.
That's it. And it was all good.
Yeah. He said that Cena is a cash cow, and he would have his last milking at Night of Champions. Which some people, if you're dirty, may think of that a bit wrong, but no, I get what you're saying. That's fine. And then there was a little bit extra, but as I said, the TV decided to skip, and I missed the rest of Heyman. But still, good stuff from Heyman. I wished it had skipped over the Nikki Bella stuff, and I had got to watch all of Heyman stuff. But there we are. When it rains, it pours.
Nope.
There we are.
You get crap.
I get crap. Yeah. Moving forward from that, there wasn't much of Heyman, unfortunately, and there was no Brock. And they did rehash the same video package, but they removed a lot of the awesome stuff that Brock said in it this week. So much so I was trying to show it to the other half, because I thought it was a brilliant video package, and half the awesome stuff was taken out of it. It was more about what happened last week when they added the stuff in. I was a little bit bummed about that, but still. So Jack Swagger against Curtis Axel, and Zeb Coulter is back.
Yay!
He's returned.
Don't care.
Well, I thought it was alright. I
cared, but it's not like he came out and cut a promo or anything. He just happened to be there.
Yeah. The thing is, though, him being beside Swagger gives him, like, you could tell him not having. I mean, it was only 2 weeks that he wasn't out with him, but for those 2 weeks, some of the gloss has already dissolved off of Swagger. Either he's not in that really hot feud with Rusev anymore. He's not being used, and he's in this kind of really, like, the epitome of a mid-carder rivalry at the moment. So having Zeb back in there with him, it gives him something at very least, and he's better with Zeb than without. There's no question that Zeb is integral to his success.
Yeah, definitely.
So when this match is starting and they're wrestling and everything, Bo Dallas comes to the ramp, and there's a few other, I'm guessing people. Yeah, they're all right actors who did their job. Except they just kind of nodded and stuff. It wasn't really much, but still.
Yeah.
But the match ends pretty quickly. Gets Axel to submit via the Patriot Lock, which is just made me realise how long it's been since he's actually made anyone tap out like that, which we used to see Kurt Angle back in the day using the ankle lock and making people tap out willy-nilly. But
just everywhere. But this time, nope.
But still, Swagger actually got a win with the Patriot Lock, and I'm glad for that. That's good. Bo Dallas then talks to the first guy, who states that he bets all of his money on Swagger winning against Rusev. I say, you should have listened to our show. We could have told you Rusev was going to win.
That's it.
Yeah.
Or better still, he shouldn't be an idiot and bet on wrestling.
Yeah. Obviously, we
That's
know.
like me turning around going, "Oh, I bet on EastEnders," or I bet on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Such and such is going to happen.
Well, you can bet on wrestling. Like, that is actually a thing. Like, you can actually bet, but I just think
it's
it's really silly, to be honest. I probably could make a bit of money out of it because me and Matt can, 9 times out of 10 we can figure out the predictions. It's not hard. But it's just quite funny. The one guy that they've got this in storyline, one guy is spending all of his money to bet on Swagger.
And now he's going to lose his family's farm.
Yeah.
It's like, oh dear.
The second guy...
Whoops.
This is quite funny, this one. The second guy is so upset that Swagger lost to Rusev that he failed his citizenship test, and now he's being deported. I thought that would make Zeb Coulter quite happy, actually.
Yeah.
So
He seems to care a little too much.
yeah, for all the people that Zeb, no less than 12 months ago, no less than 6 months ago, wanted people to come out with deportation lists. I didn't think this would be such a bad thing for Coulter, but there we are. I thought it was quite funny. The last person is a woman. She says that her son now wants to be like Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
After Swagger lost. I think she should send her kid for psychic evaluation.
I think clearly.
Like, if you want to be someone, why don't you want to be someone like Rusev? Why do you want to be? Why not be Rusev? This big hulking guy, very gifted, and he's banging Lana each week. Why do you want to be Putin?
That's it.
That's very odd, but still part of the storyline, I guess, that they're going with. And you know what? It gives their rivalry a little bit of meat on its bones. It's not much, and I still stand by what I said. I don't think the rivalry would do anything for either guy. So there we are. But Bo Dallas was actually pretty good here, I have to say. I thought he was his annoying best, shall we say, and he was 100% in it, which is fine. And like I said, sometimes, you know what, when I said it's not going to do much for them, it's going to do very little, maybe sometimes very little is better than being forgotten entirely. And sometimes there is, exemptions to that particular statement, but it's not, I never said it's going to damage them, I just said it's not going to do anything for them, and maybe them just being in some kind of a program is better than nothing. So, really, for those guys, it's better than nothing.
Such a terrible thing.
I honestly thought that Swagger was going to be barely promoted after his loss to Rusev. So I reckon you should thank his stars that they just didn't throw him aside, which they've done, and then get a new flavour of the month and bring him in. So yeah, at least it's something for these guys. It's not going to do much for them, but it's something, and they, maybe that's the best they can hope for at the moment. So
that's it.
Titus O'Neil. He's lost his heel tag because he's not really a heel now. He's just a comedy figure with Slater Gator. He's against Adam Rose. Adam Rose has been out of Raw so long that he's grown a beard since his last appearance. So,
I thought that.
Yeah.
I was just like, how that?
Maybe going back to his Leo Kruger days. Where he...
don't say that.
Sorry, I like teasing you sometimes.
Don't say that. You're such a prick.
You could tell how much WWE cares about both these guys, about the amount of camera time that was spent on the Bunny Slater brawl.
Jesus, how long was he sat in the corner for?
Yeah.
Like Adam Rose is like, oh no, he's down in the corner, and here comes Titus O'Neil. It's like, but what's going on with the bunny? I don't know, but we'll waste a minute letting you know that all it's doing is jumping up and down, and batting on the steps.
Yeah. And then obviously a brawl erupts between them. Like as we said, more camera was put on Slater and the bunny than the actual match itself.
He's apparently in the bunny suit.
Zack Ryder, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we are. So
I saw a little video. It's like the bunny just doing the woo woo woo, the fist bump. I was like, oh.
Hey, it's better than being unemployed, I guess.
That's it. Well, it's more TV time than Zack Ryder's getting.
Exactly. He might even get some wins.
That's not true.
Yeah, he was actually on Raw this week, but maybe for wrong reasons. We'll get into that. So anyway, this distracts Titus O'Neil enough that he leaves himself open for the most dangerous finishing move in wrestling history.
Sneaky roll up.
The sneaky roll up pin. Schoolboy roll up pin.
Yeah.
I could take a very long yawn and it would be longer than this match. In fact, the majority of all Adam Rose's matches combined, maybe. If I was that tired, possibly.
I think it's safe to say I've taken shits longer this match.
Yeah. I mean, the average Adam Rose match probably lasts less than the Divas tag matches, and that's pretty impressive in terms of how quickly these matches are finished. I still remember him having a match, I can't remember who it was against, but his last appearance on Raw, he literally just hit his finisher and pinned him. It was over in a matter of 5 seconds. That was
Sandow.
Yeah, I think it was Sandow. Yeah, I think you're quite right. Yeah, the little mini.
Pains me to say that.
When we were talking in great length about smelly bullshit, I think is the words. And
yep.
There we are. So, yeah, there's Adam Rose. Apparently, if you haven't heard about Adam Rose, they just don't like him anymore. Management, they don't even really want to use him that much. So I wouldn't expect the guy to be used in any sort of elegant capacity. He's not going to be going for titles and belts and going up the ladder. This is probably as far as he's going to go, which is pretty depressing for the guy, but still.
Yeah, that's it. Bring back Leo Kruger.
Yeah. So, another Bella segment, which is thankfully the last one of these segments. We've still got more Bellas later. Apparently, Brie was close to being held back for her graduation, and Nikki switched places with her to ace her tests. That's a felony.
But I've never told anyone that. On to the next one.
Yeah, exactly. So, I couldn't care less. These didn't make me, so still. But, don't worry, there's more Bellas yet to come.
Oh, yeah.
More $9.99 stuff with JBL, just saying literally $9.99 over and over again. And it made me realise, in the South Park movie, there's a chip implanted into Cartman, and whenever he swears, he gets zap, all over his body. I want this chip to be implanted into JBL whenever he even thinks about saying the number 9.
I want it to be implanted into JBL, and I want the remote.
Yeah, there you go. So imagine that. The guy would electrocute himself within the first 5 minutes of Raw. Really?
That's it.
Jesus.
Just every time. It's like, what time it is? What time is it? Oh, it's like 9:15.
And that's it. How many more matches do we have left? Oh, we have not. Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
He'll get the message pretty quick, but still. Rusev against Zack Ryder, who is, as we said...
Oh no, I've just had a terrible fear.
Mm-hmm.
If we did that, do you know what I'm thinking? Instead of going $9.99, would you go, cent less than 10?
No. They would find a way around it, wouldn't they? Come on. They can't help themselves. They have to keep doing it. So this is Labor Day in America. I didn't realise there was barely any reference to it actually on the show before this. So I'm guessing it's like a bank holiday in America. We don't know over here, but
I suppose so.
For what I hear, you guys all got a day off work, and fair play to you all. We got a day off school. I hope you had fun. There we are.
Cool. Do you know what I did Monday? I went to work, you lazy bastard.
Yeah, but we get bank holidays when they don't, so it's fine.
I work in retail. I don't get a bank holiday.
So yeah, apparently the word is backstage that Ryder is getting punished because of the tweets against the company recently, so they basically put him in a squash match. I think WWE need to realise that anything that gives Zack Ryder time on TV, he's probably going to be happy with. So this is probably, he thinks, a promotion of anything.
That's it. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't know why they just go, we're going to put him in a squash match for this. That's the whole reason he set up Z True Long Island Story.
Yeah. Was
because he wasn't happy about not being on TV.
Yeah. Man, when we look back on that now, I mean, he got the big push because of that, and to this day, I think it's equally at fault the reason why he's not a bigger star than he is now. It's his fault and WWE's fault. WWE's fault for one for moving his show. They should never have done that onto their own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
For anyone that knows YouTube, if you move an entire show to another YouTube channel, the majority of people that subscribe to it, honestly, they won't move. Me and Matt made a very big risk creating a brand new YouTube channel for this show because we already had a few fans from beforehand, because majority won't actually skip over. They'd just much rather just leave it. I know it's just a YouTube thing. And also Zack Ryder for not altering his gimmick when he did get into a serious program. He just came off too goofy. That was the issue with him.
Yeah, and he was stuck in a story which involved Cena.
You're not going to come out looking good. There's no one.
It's just like, we need to involve Cena and Kane for somehow.
Yeah.
Let's get Zack Ryder in. He can get beat up, and Cena can pretend to give a shit.
That's it. And they had Eve, in that whole rivalry as well. With the
Yeah.
whole, but I love her, Stina, and you're making out with her. Yeah, not very good. This match is a waste of time. You know what's going to happen. It's essentially 1 minute. I kick you in the head. I put you in the accolade. You tap out.
That
General stuff. Mark Henry then comes down. Rusev retreats straight away. Henry says that he's scared of what he'll do when he gets his hands on Rusev, and that he's the strongest man in the strongest country. He's going to open an international wing of the Hall of Pain. Rusev will be the first man to be inducted. I've always said that Henry's good enough on the mic to make something like this work, and stuff like this was good. It was alright.
That's it. Sold it.
Yeah. And he's good enough to get the patriotic crowd behind him. He comes off passionate. He comes off as if he really wants to kick Rusev's ass. That ticks all of what you need at the moment. Like as we said before, he is the perfect guy to go against Rusev at the moment. He is a good opponent.
Definitely.
Triple H backstage with Steph. Steph says that she wants to give back to Nikki Bella after being so brave about basically coming out and telling all of her family secrets. Then the married couple get all lovey-dovey, and we've always said on this show they may be corrupt, they may not do things the way we like it, but they have a good marriage, and we can respect that. So,
That's it.
That's it.
There's the chemistry.
There's the chemistry there. There's no denying it, guys. That's it. Even though maybe she does, take a while to get her through processing, I guess. So this leads into the segment. This is the segment which unfortunately follows a trend of really bad acting, and unfortunately, even the star, the person that actually managed to make a decent program with Brie Bella, Stephanie
Made it
McMahon,
stink.
she was not good on this show either, unfortunately. She came out, she praised Nikki for basically all the boring segments on the show. Maybe a few people cancelling their WWE Network subscriptions. Why not thank her for that? A chant of boring goes up in the crowd, and Steph is doing her best to
Almost
ignore it.
instantly as well.
Yeah. Come on, they've been watching the same segments as us. They have to wait through all these things, and they've been seeing it put up. They know that this isn't going to go well. They haven't exactly given them much.
Whoever
evidence.
backstage thought this would be a great idea really needs a reevaluation of their life.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they just needed some time off. As creative, it's very easy to get burnt out and creative, and this is just smells of it. But let's move it. Let's explain what happens anyway, because there's a lot of stuff that happens here. It's just not particularly good. Steph, that she's glad that it isn't a Brie among her children, along the Triple H pack, shall we say?
There is no smelly cheese here.
Yeah, that's it. And Nikki, and basically she says, "Oh, Nikki, because you're so brave, and because you sold out your sister, essentially, I'm going to give you a Divas title match." This brings out Brie.
I'm going to give you something you haven't earned.
Yeah, exactly. She brings out Brie, and you can expect where this is going. It's the same stuff as last week. If you didn't enjoy last week, you're not going to enjoy this week. That's just the brunt of it.
Yeah, simply enough.
Nikki says that Bryan will divorce Brie, the troll-faced, troll-faced Daniel Bryan, and that Nikki is going to be the next Divas champion. This brings out AJ Lee. She seems like a shining, skipping knight to save us from this segment. To be honest, she doesn't have very much to do with it. If she was here to make the segment better, she just wasn't given enough time to do so.
Yeah, it's like, go, save it, AJ.
Yeah.
The cheer that she got as well. Which
and the CM Punk chance, which, as you said, annoys to hell. She says to Steph that she's the number one contender. Ironically, they're pretty much mirroring the WWE title stuff of, I've actually got the title shot, so what are you going to do about it, sort of thing. And to leave the Divas title to her, i.e. someone who can actually have a good match. So, there is that. This brings out Paige. I dislike segments where basically every 5 seconds someone new comes down and the segment gets longer and longer and longer without much actually happening. It happened at the very start of the show, and like I said, this mirrored it a lot. If they had more divas, they probably had more divas coming down to the ring. I didn't like it. It never got going, and every 5 seconds there was someone new coming down. It was hard to get involved in it. But
the thing is, not once did any of them just actually go with the main question on everyone's mind. Why the fuck does she deserve it?
Yeah, just random, isn't it? Like
AJ's just like, I think I'm number one contender. I don't think you understand how that works.
And then Paige is down saying, well, I'm the champion, so I should be involved in this little natter. And And that's pretty much it. The one thing I will say is that Paige and AJ, I don't know whether they know or they think the same as the majority of fans, that this Bella stuff is a stinker. No one's really looking forward to it. But their facial expressions looked like they were trolling a bit, and they were quite funny at times. So they were doing the good old. I will
admit, I probably spent most of once AJ and Paige came out. I probably spent the most of the time just like, I really don't care about the Bellas. I'm just watching Paige and AJ in the background.
Yeah, just having a little bit of fun with themselves, kind of doing the Shawn Michaels oversell. Which anyone who hasn't seen his match with Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam, you should watch that right away. The word oversell, wow. And that's under exaggerating.
Google oversell.
Yeah.
That match will come up.
Exactly. We'd have to talk about that as a fail of the week, even though it wasn't a fail of the week and the match itself still succeeded to a degree. Just the fact that the reason why he oversold is brilliant. I just love that. So anyway, so they basically Nikki and Bella, Nikki and Brie. Jesus, these fucking twins, melting my head.
This really whole fucking segment is melting my brain.
Nikki asks Brie to quit the company for her this time, and Brie responds by pushing her over. AJ skips around the ring with the belt. Steph takes the belt off her. It's not really good. This is getting worse, and it's probably going to lead into.
The worst thing is about that is like it almost looked like Paige had to beg to have her title back.
Yeah, and then afterwards she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to hop out of the ring,
skip away myself."
Yeah. Now. Do I dislike the fact that they seem to be merging the match? Like, am I sad that I'm not going to see AJ against Paige again? No, which might shock some people. Well, we've seen them two wrestle enough. I think that's okay. I wouldn't say no to another match, but the idea of them changing up the match, I'm not completely against it. Adding Nikki Bella into it won't make it any better. In fact, it will more likely make it worse.
It will definitely make it worse.
Yeah, but the idea is that I think they're probably going to go with a triple threat. Brie is going to screw her out midway, and then it will probably Paige who will end up winning the belt. That's probably how I'll go for it. I don't think Brie will get the match. In fact, it makes no sense. I don't think you should make it a fatal four-way at this point.
No.
Like, why? It makes no sense. Like, it was a little bit like when Roman Reigns randomly got put into that fatal four-way WWE title match, yet a month before he was told he was never getting a title shot. In fact, Vicky Guerrero was fired for giving him a chance at getting a title shot. So,
yeah.
It doesn't make sense for Brie to get a title shot. It makes sense for her to finally snap at all this abuse that she's getting at her sister and then stop her from winning the belt, and then it leads to the inevitable feud that they're going to have. So there we are. Not that excites many people, but at least then it makes a lick of sense. I wouldn't like it if Steph comes out on Raw and says, well, we might as well make it a fatal four-way. Why would she do that for someone that she obviously dislikes? Just still. And obviously Brie and Nikki haven't won like a match in God knows how long. So, there we are.
That's true.
Wyatt is backstage. I'm expecting more golds, but as with Heyman, he's not nearly out long enough talking to really justify what
I was really disappointed with it.
It wasn't a good segment, and the only reason... And, man, you may be thinking, what the... Well, put your drink down. Sit down, guys. We're saying that this wasn't a good segment with Wyatt when we always praise him. There just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough sense.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to turn around and say that it was bad. It was still a good promo, but it was just lacking.
Yeah, like it's when we say like the problem is it was never long enough for us to really want to get excited about what he was saying. By the time he got started, it was over. That was the only issue, and basically all it was talking about was his match that he's going to have in a steel cage with Jericho next week, which sounds like it's going to be good, but it seems a bit random. These two guys have barely interacted since SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. So they're just going to randomly give them a rivalry again. Maybe this would be Jericho's last booking. But it did seem that they were going towards another match at Night of Champions, but it looks like they're going to blow it off here. It seems a bit random that it would have a cage match with Jericho and Wyatt and then blow it off like literally the week afterwards on Night of Champions. Like in another match. It just makes no sense to me. So
it's like for the purpose of? I don't know.
Yeah. Personally, I believe they won't have a match at Night of Champions. That next week is the blow-off to their feud. But it just seems a bit random that they're having it. So Goldust against Jimmy Uso. Singles match here. Now, this is some good stuff. Goldust, before the match, he apologises for their actions last week where they attacked the Usos. The Usos decide, well, fuck that. We're going to attack you first. Which does seem a little bit heelish, but I'm not too bothered with it.
Especially considering like Jay's like clearly having problems with walking.
Yeah.
It's like, we're still going to strike first. You can't even walk first.
Yeah. Like, I don't think, when it comes down to like, faces shouldn't attack first, they should have accepted the apology and stuff like that. Faces do the good thing, but like, we don't need to have like, that's one of the things that annoys me about Cena sometimes, that he's almost the epitome of of the ultimate baby face, that he never wavers from that.
I don't buy it. I mean, if you know full well that it's like, it's bullshit, like, then why not go for it?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't have too much of an issue with it, and I think that the era where you have to completely go within the lines of what a face and heel should be has long passed. People expect more complex characters. So, not that this gives much complexity to the Usos, but some people giving out about it for nothing, really, in my opinion.
That's it.
So it basically starts up a half decent match. When I say half decent, as we said, it doesn't really go long enough for these guys really to go full. But I am glad that they just didn't make a random another tag team match, because they are going to have a title match at Night of Champions, and I expect it to be really good. I do.
I hope so, yeah.
If it's anything close to the last tag pay-per-view match that the Usos had, which is against the Wyatt family, that could be a show stealer. So
definitely,
there we go. And they're firmly capable of
it.
And
it's been consistent with the the Usos.
Yeah, definitely so. They've been very, very good for a very long time. That's the best thing we can say about them. Like in ring, in ring, they'll always give the goods, shall we say?
That's it.
I was still, however, a little bit saddened with this match because it wasn't a great match. Is because I was waiting for a phenomenal match to hit me, and there wasn't one on this show. In fact, there wouldn't be one. But when you got Goldust and Jimmy Uso in the ring, you're thinking, wow, these guys could maybe make something special. But it was never to be. And unfortunately, I keep saying it each week when it comes to these guys. I keep saying, oh, they're going to have a great match next week. They're going to have a great match. It's going to come up. But I don't know where to really go with this. I'm just hoping they have a kick-ass match at the pay-per-view, and I can say, oh, well, everything, it was all good.
It all came up in the end.
That's it. So, basically, Stardust decides, you know what I'll do? I'm just going to attack Jey Uso. He's got the damaged leg. And while Jimmy is sort of distracted and they have a little scuffle, Goldust hits him with the final cut, gets the win. And then afterwards, they, in a really, really good part of this rivalry, Stardust gets a steel chair and whacks it full pelt.
Oh, didn't he?
Off of Jey Uso's leg, and the sound and the way it looked was amazing. It really looked like this guy just crushed his leg, and Jey Uso was selling it to the ninth degree. Really good stuff. It looked savage. It really did.
Definitely.
You probably wouldn't have got much more savage of hitting someone with a steel chair unless Brock Lesnar had done it. So that's saying something. He really went full pelt, did Stardust with that.
Proper swung, yeah.
And there was a big rattle, big noise, the crowd, whoa, big reaction. Good stuff. And like I said, if they're going with this sort of rivalry, in fact, if they want to make the Usos look strong but get the belts off them, they've had it for a very long time now, then the injury angle could be it. So that's it. And man, I don't think they don't have to convince people that his leg is injured, because that particular hit with the steel chair. Yeah.
That could sell an injury for
That'd sell the injury to you in no time. And that sort of stuff is going to get Stardust and Goldust over like a hill in no time. They're not going to have to worry about any of that.
That's it.
And every single time you see Goldust, like last week we said, it looks like he's really into the heel turn. This week, just the same. It looks like he's completely up his ass.
I don't know whether I really noticed, like, getting to the end of this match, I was like, I really missed the final cut.
What, as a finish?
I love that fight. I love the final cut. I loved doing it as well.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realise that you did that.
Mm.
Oh, there you go. So, good stuff. Which is a good-looking move, shall we say? I mean, it's one that it looks harder to execute than it actually is. If you've got someone good that you're doing it on, you're not going to be able to do that stuff on like Big Show or people that's not athletic.
It can be an awkward one.
Yeah, but if you've got someone that's even mildly athletic, it's a good finish, and people go for it. So. Backstage, Big Show is reminding Henry that he wants to be the dominant tag team, but Henry reminds him that he wants Rusev first. And by himself. And then Big Show says, well, I'm going to have your back anyway. So, there we are. It wasn't...
Regardless, I'm your friend.
Essentially. It wasn't a great segment, and I'd much rather that Big Show be as far away from a Henry and Rusev rivalry. I don't think he would do anything for it by being in Henry's
Involved,
corner. Yeah, I just don't believe so.
If anything, it just sells Henry as weak if he needs a friend.
Yeah, to be honest, it does. And Henry's good enough on his own at getting the masses to do the whole patriotic backing me and stuff like this. But I don't think there's much that Big Show can do. I think he's wasting time, and he could be a detriment to the rivalry if he's involved too much. But we'll see about that as it goes forward. Can't say about anything until it happens, at the very least.
That's it.
This leads us into the main event of the evening. We've got John Cena, Chris Jericho and Roman Reigns against Kane, Rollins and Orton. The crowd are chanting.
I find it really odd that Jericho came out last.
Yeah. Well, maybe if he's winding down, maybe they're going to give a little bit more spotlight to him. Especially as he's having a steel cage match next week.
I still love his new jacket.
Yeah, it's good. In fact, I thought one of the things that JBL said that wasn't really stupid, and he did come up with something very quickly.
If I'd come up with the idea, I'd have had one.
Yeah, his commentary was bad, but that part, fair enough. I would have a jacket like that if I was wrestling. That was awesome. I love that jacket. So basically, during the match, at the start of the match, the crowd are chanting, "We want Rollins," and King does this trademark BS. It's been a while since we've had this, but he busted it out for this show, and he says, "No, they're only chanting 'We want Rollins' because Roman Reigns is in the ring, and they want to see him get beaten up by Roman Reigns."
Nice try, but no.
Yeah, no.
Nah, we ain't going to take that.
King logic for you, shall we say. It's just funny.
Yeah, it's because it's the hometown and they just want to see him get beat up. It's like, no, they want to see him on top.
Yeah. Commentary did not have a good night again. They've had, like the show, 2 bad weeks, and when a show is bad, it's very easy to see the commentary being just as bad beside it. So
that's it. Actually, I'm going on about a commentary team. What happened? Wasn't Renee Young meant to go on SmackDown?
No, she was on Superstars.
She was on Superstars.
Superstars, yeah.
Because I know they've now got Todd Phillips on SmackDown.
Yeah, I think he's okay. But if remember when we broke that story, we said that Renee Young can be at that level, but she's not there yet. And I still stand by that. I still think that Superstars is probably the best place for her. That's just what I say. And I've seen nothing yet to make me believe that she's ready for it. But I'm under no illusions. I think if WWE can keep hold of her and she keeps improving steadily, like she has been doing since she joined the company, I think we could be seeing the first female.
She does a good job on NXT.
Yeah. Now, some weeks when I've seen Renee Young commentate, I know we were just going completely off kilter here, but
it's a commentary.
Yeah. If you've been watching, if you're listening to our show, we just go off on tangents all the time anyway. But Renee Young, I think she can do it. I think that the potential is there, the willingness to learn, and she's got a good aptitude for it. But it just takes time, to learn audio cues, to learn when to shut your mouth, which sometimes JBL just doesn't, and stuff like that. It takes time. I think Superstars is the best place for her. But yeah, I thought it was quite funny. A lot of people are actually liking Phillips on commentary on SmackDown because he does tend to cover the match as it happens. It doesn't seem hard to do, but I mean, fans.
Say it. Oh no, they're not. I was going to say, saying that they're both on NXT, but they're not now.
No, I mean, you could probably see that shaking up. It's
Tensai and Alex Riley now.
Yeah, when you look at William Regal, who's now the general manager of NXT, which as we said when we first stated that it was going to happen, we were all happy. Oh, well, it sounds good, but actually, it's not actually that good because Mean Regal's not going to be on commentary anymore, which is a disgrace.
Yeah, well, Tensai's pretty good.
Yeah, he's alright. They're both okay. In fact, Alex Riley isn't that bad. It's just
Alex Riley, the analyst.
Yeah, and that's it. But Renee Young, I think she can get there, just not yet. Oh, yeah,
that's it.
Anyway, so moving on with this match, Cena, he does this stuff when he's a tag team partner, where he looks like he's in pain, that he's not in the ring, that he genuinely is hurting inside. He's making all these really over the top facial expressions. He's sinking his head into his hands when Jericho can't get a tag.
It's like, I'm in the main event, but I'm not involved.
Yeah, he looks genuinely like he's passing a kidney stone. He really does. He's having a tricky poo. I don't know why he does. He goes over the top, overselling. Jesus, man, Cena oversells that on the sidelines. I don't even know why he did that. But essentially the match goes on as you would expect it. As soon as Cena gets tagged in, he Super Cena's up. or Super Duper Cena, shall we say, because he's getting even more with it now.
Mm.
Just demolishes Orton, Rollins, and Kane. Basically tags in Reigns to get a spear and finish off the match. And there it is.
And that was about it.
It's not anything to go out of your way with. It's I would say a lengthy match. It's definitely a lot longer than any of the matches on the show, but it still isn't that good.
Well, it took two. It had two ad breaks, didn't it?
Yeah, but also some of the matches, some of the moves themselves are a bit sloppy. I don't know if you noticed that, like the one of the AAs that John Cena did was very sloppy. It was a little bit all over the place.
The one thing about was like it wasn't an AA, but it was almost like Cena gave Rollins like what I can only describe as like a botched German.
Yeah, it looked weird, didn't it? Like
Yeah.
he tried to go for the German, but he released far too early, and like it just didn't look right. And going from there, but yeah,
Or possibly those like released late because it looked like Rollins rolled it on his head.
Yeah. It was sloppy, you know. When the match got quick, it got sloppy, and it can do that.
Yeah.
But when we're used to seeing the likes of when the Shield and the Whites were doing 6-man tag matches, and it would get crazy, it was never sloppy.
It would still be crisp.
Yeah, it would still be very crisp and very clean. And
I still think like my favourite. I think if I had to pick a single like moment that stands out the most in that match for me was like Randy Orton's like when he had Reigns on the top turnbuckle and did his sort of neck hold backbreaker.
Yes, yeah, I do like
that was
backbreaker.
quite nice. I was like, oh.
I've always liked that backbreaker of his. Like he coined that, and like you never seen anyone use a similar backbreaker to that. But I think it's brilliant. I love it. It's a slight little backbreaker, but yeah, like it wasn't a bad match. I don't want people to go to the internet. It wasn't a bad match, but it's not one I would ever want to watch again. Yeah. So
it didn't redeem Raw, but it's not like the worst part of it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the end of the match. Afterwards, he then stares down Triple H. He gets ambushed by Rollins, and then Super Duper Cena's him with an AA onto the table, and then says, "I'm ready for Lesnar," and then walks off. And that's your show. That's your end of your show. A mid-monther. I think that's probably the best day of the week. And
easily, yeah.
It stank. It wasn't good. It isn't in a show that if you could miss this show and you wouldn't be missing anything of note.
We're like 2 Raws in. It's just like consistently, just like stank.
Yeah. Now this is what is it? So we've had 3 Raws after SummerSlam. The first Raw was the go home. Was the one afterwards. So it wasn't a mid-monther. But the 2 mid-monthers that we've had have been exceptionally poor, and great advertisements for why Raw should go back to 2 hours. That's what I'm saying. If you couldn't get anything memorable or good in a 3-hour Raw, I think you probably wouldn't be cutting your time down a little bit, so you're not wasting everyone's time. That's what I would say. But there you go. That's your Raw. It's not really much. Last week we said a lot of words. We said uninspired. We said lacks direction. This show had a little bit more direction. It still is uninspired. It's matches we've either seen before or matches that never got off the ground. You know, we're talking about 1-minute matches. There were too many of those matches on this show, 1-minute matches.
That's it. I think you got to imagine like who sort of turned up to the venue, had a quick look on the card, and go, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah. You know, it must be quite frustrating when you've seen these guys walk down and the entrances are longer than the match itself, and then you're watching more, and then you're watching like a 1-minute match between Titus O'Neil and Adam Rose, and then straight after that match, you're being shown a Bella segment.
Oh, there was one part that I was just when Rusev had his match. Nobody was in the ring. Rusev came out. Yeah. Ad break. Rusev still in the ring, waving his flag, music still going, but Ryder's turned up out of nowhere. Yeah. So, did Ryder have his entrance and then they cued his music again?
I think he probably just walked down there and just, just kept Rusev's music on.
Just go get killed.
Yeah, okay. That's it. So, I mean, next week does have stuff to look forward to, and it has stuff that you just don't even want to watch Raw about. It has a steel cage match with Wyatt and Jericho.
I'm sort of a bit upset that I'm missing the cage match.
Yeah, but you're also going to miss Jerry Springer.
Oh no! Oh god! And some NFL guy that I don't know or care about.
Yeah, Michael Sam. Well, that whole thing, he's not going to be showing up on Raw, and neither did I ever think he would be. To be honest, I know that thing, and we would talk. It's not really worth talking about at the moment because the whole situation's been resolved. It's just WWE grabbing for mainstream attention. That's what they were doing, and there we go. And if they couldn't get Michael Sam, they got Jerry Springer. So there we go. That's the way it goes. I tell you what. In memory of Jerry Springer, I'll give you my final thought this week. There we are, as he's going to be on the show next week.
Yep.
WWE are in serious SummerSlam hangover, officially.
Yeah.
And we've known that for a little while. There's a lot of these rivalries that are just wasting time. They want to get the Cena-Lesnar rivalry over and done with, so either they can both go their separate ways and do something else. Jericho, he's going to be going off soon, so that leaves Wyatt to go somewhere else. Swagger and Bo Dallas are just time-wasting at the moment. They're not really going anywhere. The only thing that I'm really interested in was the Goldust and Stardust heel turn, but even that, they haven't, as we said, it's like, I'm hoping they have a great match at the pay-per-view, so I'm kind of vindicated for allowing them to have these mediocre matches in between.
Yeah.
So, it's still uninspired. Unfortunate, we're the ones that don't get good shows after that. But it still doesn't warrant anyone taking Russo's advice on the show. Just saying that right there, so.
Hello.
Yeah. So I think that's us this week. We've got Matt is going to go pack up and ready for his trip that he's going in mere hours. 6 hours, Matt. You're going to be starting your drive. Less than 6 hours. Sorry,
Yeah.
just over 5 hours. So he's going to go off to sleep.
Hopefully.
If you guys did enjoy the show, then you can subscribe if you're new. Subscribe to us and join the growing community. As we said, we're almost hitting 100 subscribers. In fact, I'm quite confident we will hit that. Not if not this week, then next week we will. It'd be great to see you guys come along for the ride. If you want to ask us any questions, then you can follow us on @TalkWrestlePod. You can tweet us there, or you can leave a comment under the video, and we may reference that. In fact, ask us questions so it can, give me things to talk about next week with Matt not around, And there will still be a podcast the next few weeks, but here's the thing, just to explain it to you guys, Matt is on holiday next week, so I'll be podcasting solo. And then Matt only just gets back and stuff from his holiday that week, but then I go on holiday that week also. So the next 3...
I think like 6 hours after I land back in the UK, you land in the UK.
I land in the UK. So it's... you guys don't worry. It's just that things might be... You might have one of us or two of us who might be... It might even be next to each other, which will more likely happen. But... that's the reason why things might be shaken up the next three weeks, and then afterwards everything back to normal again for the foreseeable future.
That's it.
But you still get your shows, so you guys, doesn't matter if you guys, you'll still get your shows and you still get your audio gold. Which,
if anything else, it's just apologies in advance.
Exactly, yeah, that's it. So Matt's gonna say goodbye for 2 weeks as he goes off to his holiday, and I'm gonna say goodbye.
I'm only missing one.
Yeah, but for this week, and then you won't be there for that week, so it's technically 2 weeks people won't hear from you. So
I'm going to be like 2 Raws down.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll be back next week giving you the audio gold. In fact, it'll be a rare episode.
Oh no,
for you guys.
I have to miss NXT Takeover.
Oh no! Well, I'm going to review that now. I'm going to review NXT
Don't
Takeover.
you dare!
I will.
That's like the first thing I'm going to come back to. And it's just like Raw, nah, Takeover.
Oh, brilliant! So that's it, guys. We do hope that you guys enjoyed the podcast. And as I said, we always love hearing from you guys. We hope you have a great week, and fingers crossed, Raw will be better next week. I hope that we can only hope. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll catch you again next week.
See you around.
Bye-bye now.
Cheers.